There is a specific fog that lives inside the head of a man who has spent years next to a narcissistic woman. It is not sadness. It is not anger. It is a particular kind of not knowing what is real anymore. Not just about her, about anything. If you know that fog, this video is for you. Not because I am going to name what she is. You probably already know. This video is going to tell you what to do about the fog itself. The part she left inside you that does not disappear just because she does. Stay with me. This one goes somewhere. Before we get to the signs, I have to be honest about what this video is and what it is not. If you came here for a list you can hold up against your girlfriend or your ex to prove she is bad, I am not going to give it to you. Not exactly. I am going to give you the signs. That part, I promise. But I am going to give them to you in a way that does not leave you as the innocent bystander of your own life, because that framing will keep you stuck for years after she is gone. The most dangerous thing a man can do after a relationship with a narcissistic woman is decide that she was the entire problem. Because the day he decides that, he stops looking at the part he actually has the power to change, which is not her behavior, it is his own. You cannot become an expert on her disorder and expect that expertise to heal you. It will not. Diagnosis is a tool. It is not the work. What we are going to do in this video is different. First, we are going to walk through the actual signs, clearly without softening any of them, because you deserve accurate information about what you were dealing with. Then, we are going to have the harder conversation about what made you compatible with her in the first place, and what it will take for you to be the kind of man that woman could not have gotten close to. Not because he is defended, because he is whole. If that is not the video you thought you clicked, this is the moment to keep watching or to leave. Because everything after this is going to serve the man who wants to actually get out of the pattern, not the man who wants a list of reasons to hate her. Stay with me. This one goes somewhere. Before I give you the signs, I want to name what the word narcissist has become, because it has been diluted into meaninglessness by the internet. Every ex-girlfriend a man did not understand has been called a narcissist. Every difficult woman, every woman who chose to leave. That is not what we are talking about here. Clinical narcissistic personality disorder affects a very small percentage of the population. What is more common, and what I think most of you are actually asking about, is a woman with strong narcissistic traits. A woman who is not disordered enough to meet a diagnosis, but disordered enough to make the man in her life question his own reality on a regular basis. The signs I'm about to give you apply to both. If your partner meets several of them consistently, over time, in different contexts, you are looking at something real, not a bad month, not a difficult season, a pattern. And a pattern is the only thing worth naming. One incident does not make a narcissist. A one-time cruelty does not make a narcissist. What makes it a pattern is that the same shape keeps appearing, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter who is involved, no matter how much time passes. The other thing I want to name before we go in, this is not about labeling her. Labeling her does not do anything for you. This is about recognizing a pattern so you can decide what you want to do about your own life. The label is a tool for you, not a weapon against her. Because here is the truth. Almost no video like this will tell you. She is not the villain of your story. She is a wounded person who developed a defense system that is now hurting you. That does not make her behavior acceptable. It does not mean you have to stay. It does not mean you have to forgive her on her timeline. It just means you are looking at a human being who is doing damage from a place you cannot fix. Your job is not to save her. Your job is not to punish her. Your job is to recognize the pattern, decide what you can live with, and make the choice that is actually about you. With that in mind, the signs, sign 1. Reality shifts around her. You have a conversation on Tuesday. You know what was said. You have specific memories of the words used. On Thursday, she tells you a different version of that same conversation, and hers is so certain, so detailed, so full of hurt about what you supposedly said, that within 20 minutes, you are apologizing for something you have no memory of doing. This is the sign. This is the one every man in this pattern learns to distrust himself over, because the versions do not add up. And you have two options. Either she is remembering wrong, or you are. And she is so certain that eventually you decide it must be you. It is not you. This is called reality distortion. It is the single most damaging trait of the pattern because it slowly separates you from your own mind. Over years, you stop trusting your memory of anything. You start deferring to her version by default because deferring is easier than the fight. If you find yourself saying, maybe I did say that about conversations you know you did not have, this is the sign. Sign two, every conflict becomes about her hurt. You bring up something she did, something that bothered you, something real. And within 5 minutes, you are comforting her. She is crying. She is telling you how difficult her life has been. She is bringing up things that happened to her when she was 15. And by the end of the conversation, the thing you brought up has completely disappeared, and you are apologizing for making her feel unsafe by raising it. This is not empathy on your part. This is redirection on hers. A woman with strong narcissistic traits cannot sit with being the source of your hurt. The discomfort is too much for her regulatory system. So she pivots, and she is good at it. She has done this her whole life. It is not conscious. It is a defense that runs faster than her awareness of it. You will notice this pattern when you cannot remember the last time she took accountability for something without turning the accountability into her own suffering. Sign three, your friends and hobbies quietly disappear. Not by a single dramatic prohibition, that would be too obvious. It happens through 1,000 small comments that make the cost of maintaining a friendship or a hobby slightly higher than the reward. Your friend is a bad influence. Your gym time is time she does not get. That book you want to read is boring. That thing you loved as a kid is embarrassing. 6 months in, you have not seen your friend in months. You skip the gym more than you go. The book is still on your nightstand unopened. And when you look up, your life is a narrower version of what it was. She is at the center of the narrowed version. You did not agree to this. It happened by 1,000 small pressures you barely noticed while they were happening. Sign four. Praise and punishment are extreme and unpredictable. The good days feel like the best days of your life. She looks at you like you are the answer to something. She tells you things she has never told anyone. She makes you feel like the version of yourself you always wanted to be. Then something you do not understand happens. A small thing, and she is cold for 3 days, or angry for a week, or absent in a way that you cannot get her to explain. Then the good days come back, and they are so good that you forget the bad days, or you decide the bad days were your fault, or you tell yourself you just have to figure out how to keep her in the good state permanently. You cannot. Nobody can. The oscillation is not caused by you. The oscillation is her regulatory system, and no amount of your good behavior can stabilize a system that is not yours to stabilize. The intermittent reinforcement is what makes the pattern so hard to leave, because the good days are real. The connection you feel is real, but the connection is not sustainable, and the punishment is not something you earned. Sign five, you have started apologizing for things you did not do. Look at the last 30 days. Count the times you said sorry. Count how many of those were for something you actually did wrong. And count how many were about keeping the peace, avoiding a longer conversation, or ending a fight that was going nowhere. If the ratio is heavily tilted toward peacekeeping apologies, you are in the pattern. Men in healthy relationships apologize for specific things they did. Men in this pattern apologize as a way to survive the emotional weather. Sign six, her past is full of villains. Every ex is crazy. Every former friend is toxic. Every family member is abusive. Every boss is unreasonable. There is a long list of people who have wronged her, and in every story, she is the victim. Some of these stories may be true. Real people do get victimized. But if every single story has the same structure, and if she is never the one at fault in any of them, you are looking at a pattern. Because in reality, most people are the villain of at least a few of their own stories. If she cannot name a single one, that is the sign. The reason this matters is because you are going to be on that list eventually. You are going to be the crazy ex she tells her next partner about, and the story she tells will feel completely true to her. Because in her internal world, she is always the one being wronged. Sign seven, you cannot remember when you last felt certain of anything, not just about her, about anything, your career choices, your parenting instincts, your friendships, the world around you. When you spend years in a relationship where your reality is constantly being rewritten, the rewriting spreads. You stop trusting your instincts in every domain. You second guess decisions you would have made in 10 seconds 5 years ago. You feel foggy in ways you did not use to feel foggy. This is the accumulated cost of the pattern, and it is the sign that hurts the most to acknowledge. Because you did not just lose the relationship, you lost the version of yourself that was certain of things. If you counted three or more of those signs, you are looking at a real pattern, not a bad partner, not a rough season. A defense system built into the woman you are with, or the woman you were with, that will keep hurting you until you understand what to do about it, which is what the rest of this video is for. If you have made it this far, if you recognize more of those signs than you expected to, I want to say something directly. This is why we cling. We decode why we cling to the wrong people, the wrong stories, the wrong version of ourselves. No red pill anger, no blue pill fluff, just the truth. And the work it takes to become the man worth keeping. Now we are getting to the part almost no other channel will do, because it is the part that requires you to stop pointing at her. The signs I just gave you are real, but those signs are not the reason you are still hurting months or years after she is gone. The signs are not the reason you keep replaying the arguments. The signs are not the reason you feel like less of yourself. The reason for all of that is not her behavior. It is what her behavior connected to inside you. Because here is the honest question. If you had walked into that relationship as a fully whole man, secure in your own reality, with a life that already had weight and meaning and people in it who saw you clearly, would her behavior have gone this deep into you? Probably not. You would have noticed the pattern in the first 3 months. You would have felt the reality shifts and trusted your own memory instead of hers. You would have kept your friendships and your hobbies because those were not up for negotiation. And when she started punishing you for things you did not do, you would have left. Or you would have named it and required a change. And if the change did not come, you would have left. You did not do those things. And that is not because you are weak. It is because there was already something in you that made her behavior feel familiar, comfortable, even, in a way you probably would not want to admit. That is the wound underneath. There is a version of you that learned, very young, that love was going to require you to become smaller, to apologize for things you did not do, to defer to someone else's reality even when yours was clearer. He might have grown up with a parent who was themselves narcissistic or emotionally volatile. He might have been raised in a home where his feelings were consistently treated as inconvenient. He might have been the one who kept the peace in a family that did not know how to have hard conversations. Whatever the source, he learned to make himself the shape of whoever he loved. And when he met her, he already knew how to do that. She did not have to teach him. He had been practicing his whole life. That is not weakness. That is a nervous system that learned to survive. But it is also the reason you stayed as long as you did. And it is the thing that will get you into the same pattern with someone new if you do not do the work now. So what is the work? Step 1. Stop rehearsing the story of what she did. I know that is hard to hear, because the story feels like the only thing that vindicates you, and vindication feels necessary. But every hour you spend rehearsing her behavior is an hour you are not spending on your own reconstruction. And her behavior does not require your continued attention. It happened. It was real. You can name it in one sentence and stop returning to it 100 times a day. Every time you catch yourself starting to rehearse it, catch yourself and put your attention somewhere that is about your future instead of her past. Step 2, reclaim your reality. If she took your certainty about your own memory, start rebuilding it. Write things down. When you make a decision, write down why. When something happens, write down what you saw. Do it for a month, not for her, for you, so that your own record stops depending on someone else's version. This sounds small. It is not small. It is the specific practice of getting back the internal authority you lost. Step 3, do the work that made you susceptible in the first place. This is the deepest step, and it is the one that determines whether you spend the next 10 years attracting the same woman with a different face or whether you break the pattern completely. The work is to look at the boy in you who learned that love meant erasing himself, and to teach him, slowly and consistently, that his instincts are trustworthy, that his feelings are not inconvenient, that his reality does not need to be validated by someone else in order to be real. That work is not fast. It usually involves therapy. It almost always involves a community of people who see you clearly. It requires you to speak up in small moments when you would previously have gone quiet, to disagree in conversations where you would have deferred, to leave rooms where your worth is being tested. Do this enough and something starts to happen. You stop finding narcissistic women attractive, not because you are avoiding them, because your nervous system no longer recognizes their energy as love. It recognizes it as danger. And you leave easily in the first month because the fit is not there. That is what recovery actually looks like. Not the day you finally hate her, the day her energy no longer registers as familiar. And here's the line I want you to remember. You do not heal from a narcissistic woman by studying her. You heal by studying the part of you that felt at home in her chaos. She is not the work, you are. If you want a starting point for that work, I built something called the Cling Test. It is the most honest first look I know how to give a man at whether the reactions he is having are love or something else entirely. Free. Link in the description. Drop one word in the comments. If you recognize her in this video, what is the sign that hit you hardest? Reality shifts, redirected conflicts, isolation, extreme oscillation, peacekeeping apologies, the list of villains, or the fog. I read every reply. Some of you already know what you were in. Some of you are naming it for the first time in this video. Either way, welcome. There is a way through. Subscribe and stay with me. This is WhyWeCling.